Through the Ravine. In today's video, we're going to talk about who wins the American League East. This division is going to come down to the final week of the regular season, maybe even game 162. Who's going to come out victorious? There are three teams in the race. I'll go over each team in this specific video and let you guys know my prediction on who I believe will come out on top of that division. Presumably get a bye, but that race is also very close as far as who may or may not get the bye seeds in the American League. So we'll start with the division leaders, the Toronto Blue Jays, who had the Blue Jays to be leading the division on their bingo card in September. I did not. Certainly was not me, and I don't know who else did, but if you did, well, you got a crystal ball. But the Jays have really surprised us all, and this is a team that's just kind of putting it together. I mean, there's no real secret ingredient to this. They're just kind of coming together, playing well as a group. Worked nicely for not just a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It worked nicely for most of the season. Kind of overtook the Yankees maybe in July or so, and they haven't looked back, and they've led the division ever since, despite critics thinking they might slow down or some other teams may catch up to them. They are hanging on, but that division lead is shrinking by the day. The Blue Jays, led by Bo Bichette, having a resurgent year. Bo Bichette going to be on the market this offseason. Telling you right now, I would invest in Bo Bichette if you're looking for a shortstop. You will not get Billy Adames. No offense to Adames, but Bichette will be worth the money. Even Dansby Swanson. I don't think Dansby Swanson's worth even his $150 million deal. I think Bo will be worth every penny of whatever said deal he gets. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did get paid in the offseason, so he's sticking around. Ideally, the remainder of his career, it's a long contract. I know some fans are not very happy with that contract, myself included. I don't think it's a great contract necessarily for Vlad Jr., but the Blue Jays kind of needed to resign him until they did. Addison Barger's had a really good year. Addison Barger swinging the bat from the left side. George Springer. How about George Springer kind of having another resurgent career? And, you know, obviously known for his days in Houston, but kind of got left out to dry there in Toronto. Nobody really talked about him anymore, but having a nice bounce back year is George Springer in the middle of the offense. And on the pitching side of things, look at all of these pitching staffs, the AL East, and I'm not wowed by anybody. Three guys, you look at each rotation, you can maybe pick out a guy or two, maybe 4 or 5. But when you look at Bassett, Gausman, and Barrios, I don't know that's enough to get through American League or let alone get to a World Series. I don't know. I really don't know, and this is coming from a Barrios fan. And Bassett's always been a professional. Same thing with Gausman. I don't think that will get it done, and I'm sorry to tell Blue Jays fans that, but I really have serious doubts that Gausman and Barrios, Bassett will carry the Jays to a World Series. Move on to the Yankees now, and the Yankees, of course, everyone knows about the Yankees, expects the Yankees to kind of win it every single year as far as the division goes at the very minimum, and yet that's not really the case. The Yankees have not had this chokehold, if you will, of the American League East. They do struggle time to time, and we're kind of seeing that again in 2025, where the Yankees not really having a chokehold of that AL East division. They've led the division for some days, but not enough days if you are a Yankee fan. Aaron Judge has spent some time on the injury list. Of course, they lost Garrett Cole to begin the year. Brought in Max Fried, and Max Fried has been a revelation. Good in his first year in New York. Rodon, I'm not the biggest fan of Carlos Rodon, but he's a 3 area guy. But when it comes down to the postseason, I just don't think that Rodon is going to be a viable option. As we saw kind of last year, the World Series, he got knocked off by the Dodgers. So I do wonder with the Yankee rotation what it's going to be like when Will Warren. Listen, I've rostered Will Warren in my fantasy league all year. He's very up and down, more down than up. So again, unless he's somehow turns on a switch, I just don't see the Yankees getting carried by the rotation. Their bullpen has had their struggles. They're on. They could be really good. Of course, their offense, same kind of sort of deal with last year. They have their mishaps on the field. Volpe leads the league in errors over at shortstop. Let me know is Volpe's time as a Yankee coming to an end. Guy can barely hit above the Mendoza line at this point, which is kind of insane for once upon a time a top prospect, but he just cannot make a play. But Jazz Chisholm's had a pretty good year. Ben Rice has had a pretty good year. Giancarlo Stanton came back later in the year, but when he's been on the field, playing the field by the way for the first time in a while, he's been alright. The Yankees, decent. I'm not sure how much more I like them than the Jays. Then we go to the Red Sox. So I should say the Yankees and the Red Sox both sit 2.5 games behind the Jays for first place in the division. It's a really close race, and the Boston Red Sox at this point, I think the Red Sox are pretty good. I like this Red Sox team, and I'll go on record and say they were my pick to win the division back in March. And yeah, I mean, the fact that they've kind of hung around at one point they were down and out. Like, the season, they were like 8-9 games out of this division, and they went on an insane winning streak, and that kind of brought them back into the race, which I kind of really needed that. So I don't usually root for the Red Sox, but I've been kind of rooting for them this year, and it's kind of weird. Yeah, on the offensive side, Jarren Duran's still there. There was a lot of rumors about him getting traded. He eventually did not get traded. Trevor Story's had a decent year, avoided the injury plug, which is really nice for Trevor Story. Nanthi got called up. It's nice to see these prospects get called up and actually produce, because we do see times where rookies get called up, top prospects, and they don't produce. But Roman Anthony is certainly the exception to that. He has produced, and he is a big bat in that Boston lineup, the future of the Red Sox, might I add. And Ceddanne Rafaela, I got to mention Ceddanne Rafaela because his name is really fun to say, and he's a really good player, and I've always liked Ceddanne Rafaela. Big ups to Ceddanne Rafaela. He's a good ball player for the Red Sox. Your Braves had a nice year. Carlos Navarez has been a dominant in the rough. So the Red Sox offense, not the most star-studded as maybe the Jays even, or the Yankees, obviously. Nice, well-rounded lineup. And you go to the pitching side of things, led by Garrett Crochet, who may very well win the AL Cy Young, and Aroldis Chapman has been phenomenal for the Boston Red Sox, having one of the best seasons of his career, quite frankly, is Aroldis Chapman, and he actually re-signed with the Red Sox, so he's going to be staying in Boston. The rotation of Garrett Crochet, Lucas Giolito, Brian Bayo is also not very daunting if you ask me. All three of these teams have very similar pitching staffs, but I would give the edge to the Red Sox and the Yankees when it comes to Max Fried and Garrett Crochet. I don't think the Blue Jays have a guy that can really do that. They have Trevor Hoffman at the back end, but there's no certified ace for the Jays. For me, how do I see this division shaking out? I will have the Red Sox come out on top. I'm going to stick to my prediction back in March that the Red Sox will find a way to come out on top. They have not led this division for many days, if at all, but I think the Red Sox will find a way to eventually win this division, get into the postseason as a division winner. Maybe they'll still host a wild card series. Your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Who wins the AL East?